Welcome to part 1 of the multi-part series on Black Seas. This video will focus on the Lorient, the HMS Victory, the Santísima Trinidad, and Old Ironsides USS Constitution. I will show you how to build all 4 of them. I will unbox the Lorient, which has similar content to the other 3 ships. You will first see a pack of paper products. The first one are the Ratlines. After that, you will get a ship card to play the game with. These are wake markers and damage counters, some sails with 2 different colors, some simple instructions, and then these are the flags that you would put on the ship, mainly the first rates up here. Warlord Games' larger ships usually come in 2 different constructions. First is resin for the hull, and these have great detail like the stern here. There's a big bag of pewter right here, and you have the bowsprit, the foremast, the mainmast, and the mizzenmast, along with other things such as anchors, lifeboats, and masts for the spanker sails. You will also get a bobbin of black thread for rigging. All the 4 kits are very similar to this, with some minor differences. The HMS Victory has a stern piece that you would have to attach separately right here. And then on the Santísima Trinidad, which happens to be the biggest and most awesome ship in this collection, actually has 4 gun decks. It was probably the most armed ship in the Napoleonic era. Very similar to the Victory, it does have a separate stern piece with the words Santísima Trinidad on it, and then onto Old Ironsides. It's basically the same, except you'll notice that the hull is much smaller. This is because the American ships were actually overgunned frigates, which were very fast and very well armed ships. These resin and metal models can be a little bit hard to work with, so take your time because these kits build more like traditional models than plastic miniatures. The first thing you'll want to do is clean everything. In a plastic cup, put simple dish soap and hot water, mix it up, and throw the resin and metal parts into it. Let the parts soak for at least an hour. This gets rid of any coating or release agent. Drain the soapy water, wash it with some clear water, then drain it and put it on a paper towel. Spread everything out, making sure that they have a chance to dry, and really don't do anything with it until everything is fully dry, which usually takes a few hours. Next, you'll want to remove all the metal parts from their sprues. Get a good set of hobby clippers and then slowly cut off all the parts from their sprues and runners. These parts break easily, so handle with care and don't use too much force. Use a hobby knife and trim off any excess flash or hanging pewter, and there are quite a few of these, so work on them as you notice them. Once everything is cleaned off, you'll have to bend all the masts to make them straight. Be gentle and don't overbend them or you might break the parts. So go ahead and slowly finesse it until everything is straight, spin it around to make sure that it looks good to you. And you'll have to do this with basically all the masts. I can guarantee you all of them are bent. Don't worry about using a pair of pliers like this, it does help for the smaller parts. Onward to the resin hulls, this requires just a little bit of work. There will be flash all the way around the bottom of the hull that you can remove like this using a hobby knife. If you notice any standing flash anywhere else on the resin, go ahead and remove it with your knife as well. The next step is optional, but if you want to magnetize your hull, you can drill a 11mm diameter hole at the bottom like this. You want to drill it about 2mm deep, and then put super glue in, and then apply a 10 by 2mm round rare earth magnet, like one of these, into the hole. I do this so I can transport my ships in my self-made carrying containers, which I will feature in the upper right hand corner. Next, you want to glue everything together, and your best friend is going to be gel super glue. Super glue is the only thing that I know that works on pewter and resin, so you would use it on any of these areas. For instance, attaching the figurehead on the Lorient right here. I also use it to attach the bowsprit, and whenever in doubt, put a generous amount of this. It will help everything adhere better, and it also acts as a gap hider once it dries. It's almost like applying green stuff, but just with gel superglue. Continuing with the rest of the ship, I apply superglue to this grating area, and I would put this on top, and on top of this would go the lifeboats. On the back of some of these ships, like the HMS Victory and the Lorient, there are lifeboats hanging off of the port and starboard side of the quarterdeck like this. The gel superglue is pretty viscous and allows you to put the part on and then just kind of step away and allow it to dry. One of the trickier parts for any of these ships is to put on the masts. Now, the problem with these kits is that the hole that the mast goes in right here is much bigger than the bottom of the mast itself. Now the front of the mast has this little jog here facing forward, so be sure that you're pointing it in the right direction. Now apply gel superglue very generously and then put it in that oversized hole and try to balance it as long as you can until it stands up right by itself. It's much easier said than done, to be honest. It takes a little bit of practice, but with some patience and a careful hand, this should work, as you see here. What I wish Warlord games would do is make the mast like this, with a square peg and a square hole, which you will find under Satisima Trinidad. You would do the same thing, apply some superglue, and then just pop it into the square hole, and voila, it is in place. Next, each ship gets 4 anchors. You would apply some superglue to it, and then have it hang off the port and starboard sides like this, usually towards the front of the ship. Next are the masts for the spanker sails. The taller one will go at the bottom and the shorter one goes on top. Be sure that all the masts are properly cured before you try this. Apply some gel superglue onto this joint right here. And if you need to prop it up, you can use a piece of paper or towel paper and just slide it underneath like this. Do the same thing to the one on top. And then again, you can prop it with some towel paper like this. And then just kind of step away, have a coffee, and let everything dry before you pull them off. For ships like the HMS Victory and the Satisima Trinidad, there will be the quarterdeck stern section right here, which you can also apply with superglue. On the Satisima Trinidad specifically, there are these small pieces that you would put in the front. You will apply some gel superglue and then angle them out such as this on both sides. On the USS Constitution and similar ships, there is a lifeboat at the very stern. You would apply some superglue onto it and then just have it hang off like this. Allow the glue to cure overnight, and then after that you can carefully bend all the masts to make sure that they're nice and straight, front and back. At this point, you should be done with the build of these ships. Here are the 360-degree views for each, so you can see where all the features are placed. I hope you'll follow along as I paint up these models, and then move on to the more exciting parts, such as rigging and putting on sails. I will see you in the next video very soon.